Railway maniacs, or steam enthusiasts as they're more politely called, have a network which stretches right through the country, nearly as big as British Rail itself. And their enthusiasm is boundless. For Chris Bladen and his mates from the Dean Forest Railway Preservation Society, Uskmouth 1, their own little engine, is hardly the stuff of which myths are made. But this £500 purchase from a nearby power station can puff and shunt and generate hope for the future. The present, you see, is rather more sweaty than romantic. Chris and his friends have grasped the railroad engineer's end of the spanner.
It is hard work, certainly. You're looking at one of the hardest aspects of railway work. I think really it stems from the fact that the railway is finished with steam, nearly 10 years ago now. People saw part of their heritage disappearing, and railway enthusiasts as a body were distressed to see that a lot of locomotives were going for scrap and would never be saved, and that a lot of locomotives were going into static museum situations where, as such, they would never be seen in their true state, running up and down a piece of railway line. At Norchard here, we're establishing a steam preservation centre, which will be a living museum. We shall have steam engines operating at weekends throughout the summer. When funds allow, we shall build a locomotive shed, and we will be open to the public to show them exactly what a steam railway was like.
The Rees family are the Society's staunchest supporters. Son is vice chairman, Mum makes the tea, and Dad drives the train. What does it mean to you now at the age of 74, still to be doing this?
Well, it keeps you young and active and getting along amongst young people, like it's... why, otherwise you'd vegetate at home, wouldn't you?
Do you feel the same about it, Mrs. Rees?
Yes, quite. Yeah, I feel it's nice for him. I like something to do. I've got lots of hobbies, and I like him to go as well, because otherwise you just two old people at home, one each side the fireplace, and nothing to do. So when this started, it was a wonderful opportunity to come back, you know. I mean, he's retired 11 years from the railway, and we never thought he'd ever drive again, so it's lovely for him to have come back.
Their sturdy little train under steam on its own little bit of track at Park End near Lydney. It's a very little bit of track. The full journey takes just 23 seconds. We move to deepest Kent and deepest enthusiasm. To me, it was 10 o'clock in the morning, but to Victor Martin and his wife Lou, it was 11:50 in 1938. Vic and Lou are surrounded by the animals they care for and the railway that they love, operate, and live for. Vic always promised himself a railway when he was 40. He's a timeless 75 now, owner and station master of the Midland and South Eastern Railway. 74 locomotives, 530 pieces of rolling stock, and 13,000 feet of track.
Hang on, it's behind the 1220 that's a perishable.
It is, after all, permanently 1938. And Vic and Lou run their trains strictly according to the 1938 St. Pancras timetable.
Lou? Hello? That freight is running down on the Eastern line, so I've got it on the block. Can you accept it on the relief?
Yes, righto.
Righto. Well,
Hello.
what's happened to the up fast?
We only ran a proportion of the trains at first, about half those that ran from St. Pancras, but our whole idea, we both said we do want to run all of them. Not the freight, we can't run all the freight. We run a certain proportion of freight, but we do run all the passenger service that used to run, including, of course, the Southend trains that did at one time various parts of the day run from there, and, of course, the Moorgate and so on. Well, we had problems with mice. They take away passengers and that sort of thing, and they took the entire permanent way staff away once. We hadn't had them very long, and as they were permanent way people, we didn't want them to be in the same place all the time. We moved them about in various parts. But after the mice stole a lot of them, all 7 men in their wheelbarrow, we had to glue them all down. They were all found underneath the platform. We happened to see the barrow in a gap, and when it was taken up, it was found there were a lot of others there as well, a couple of porters and a few passengers and a lot of luggage and lamps off the engines and so on.
The Reverend Andrew Dowell, a young curate from Manchester, is the owner of a most singular talent. That really is uncanny, Andrew. When did you discover you had this bizarre talent?
About 14 years ago, 1960.
And how did it happen? How did it come about?
Well, I was playing around with a friend's tape recorder, and we just sort of played it back, and it sounded quite fun, so he encouraged me to go on with it.
How do you get all that mechanical noise into it? That's what's extraordinary. It sounds so deep and so many different layers of sound.
I don't know. I just do not know how it comes. It just does. I used to travel to school by train every day for 6 years, and I think it sort of drummed the sounds into my brain.
Why is it that there seem to be so many clergymen who are so crazy about trains? Have you got an answer to that one?
Yes, everybody asks me that. I think possibly one reason is that clergymen see in a steam locomotive the habits and idiosyncrasies of their parishioners, because steam locomotives are human, you know, and the smoke box door is almost like a face anyway.
Are you trying to extend your repertoire with diesel trains and so on?
Yes, I've had a go with diesels, but the mechanical sort of throb is difficult to do. That's even more metallic than the steam engine, and I think my days are numbered, really.
Well, I think we ought to hear you doing a little more steam for us. Will you oblige? A lot of people, of course, would rather have the real thing. And this is it, the Dart Valley Railway in Devon. It's the only fully commercial steam line in the country. It represents an investment of £1 million. And it's exactly like the real thing. So much so that last year it ran at a loss, a £33,000 loss. This year, with both lines at full steam, they hope to break even. This is playing trains with a vengeance.